Hey, Harry, did you know where Khalif is? I thought we will have a study group together this evening.
Oh, I don't know. You try call him.
Okay, alright.
Hello, Yuri. Oh, we have that study session this evening. Oh, I totally forgot. Where was it again? GS Hall. All right, I'll be there.
Hello, Khalif. Oh, no, it's not just hall, it's study hall, okay? We meet you at there. We on our way. Khalif says it's on the way.
Okay, let's
Okay,
go.
let's go.
Oh, sorry guys, I'm late.
Okay, Khalif.
There was a really bad weather just now.
Have a seat, man.
Thanks.
Hey, Harry, what are you watching right now?
I am watching video about GST and SST. Do you guys know the implementation of GST and SST?
I think Khalif has some bit of information about the GST. Yeah. Alright, Khalif.
I guess so. Based on what I've read, especially about GST, it has been implemented on the 1st of April 2015 through the GST Act of 2014. Uh, Other than that, I also think that it's implemented by the Royal Malaysian Customs Department, or RMCD for short.
Yeah.
And it also has a 6% of multi-stage bulbs with no input tax. So with input tax credit. What else do I know? I also know that it has the mandatory for business with annual for sales above 50,000 ringgit. If I remember correctly, it was abolished in September of 2018 because of public backlash. I think that a lot of people didn't really like GST, so they abolished it, all of it.
Yes, I know about the abolishment of the GST one. I see the news, it was so trending at that time. And if I'm not mistaken, they have a replacement for it immediately after the GST is abolished. It's called SST, Sales and Service Tax. It was reintroduced as replacement during the September 2018. So SST is a Sales Tax Act 2018, and it has a Service Tax Act on the same year also. So it's the same as the Caliph. It was administered by the Royal Malaysian Custom Department (RMCD). But the unique thing about the SST is that it has a sales tax of 5%, which quite a lot, or 10% tax on the manufacturer or importer. So it's give a heavy reputation to the manufacturer and importer. And it's also have a 6% tax on the selected service, not all the service, but a selected service. But the thing is about the SST is that it have no input tax credit, which is the higher risk of double taxation. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
SST is a quite simpler system, but it's actually less transparent.
Good day, my friend. What you talking about?
We're talking about GST and SST. We just study about it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So can we join you guys?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, come.
Tunggu.
Hi.
Have a seat, man.
Thank you.
Very happy to have you here.
Okay.
So, did you guys know some of information about GST and SST? Yeah?
I know about SST and GST a little bit, but not very much.
Not very much. You do?
Yeah, I also know about a little bit about GST and GST.
Guys. Do you guys know about the differences GST and SST?
For the differences between GST and SST, I will start with GST first. I believe GST using a multi-stage type, which is they apply the tax in every transaction possible, which is parallel with the GST scope, which they apply in every service and goods they can get. And for the next is rates. The GST has make a standardized where they're using 6% rates, and for the input tax they will be claimable, and the transparency practically is higher, which you can notice it on your receipt that stated that GST 6% and with how much and yada yada. For the double taxation, I believe there will be no double taxation.
For the SST, I think the type is single stage, which is that is limited and specific. For example, it's service. So other than that, for the rate, it has 5, 6, and 10%. Depends on the standard of the shops. For the input tax credit, I think they are not claimable. For the transparency, it's low for the SST, and double taxation, SST has a high possibility about it.
Oh, thank you Adha and Kamil.
Welcome, Aji.
Oh, guys, I just thought of something. I've always wondered because the government needs to have a revenue, right? But don't you ever wonder if one of the tax systems had more benefit for the government in terms of revenue? Do you guys have any idea which one does more revenue, Mr. Kang?
For quality money, the point of quality money, I think GST better because they apply in every service and every goods, which is while for the SST they apply in the specific goods and specific service. This means lately means SST is more on the narrow scope of work, and from the government view, I think GST will be better.
I see. So GST would be more beneficial for the government, right?
Pretty much.
Thank you, Kamil, for that insightful answer. Another thing that I wanted to ask you guys is about the affecting of GST and SST for the consumer price, because I always thought that GST and SST, they have other effects other than towards the government. So what do they have effects for the consumer price? Hairi, do you have anything?
I think I can tell you about this. So the first point that I think is GST caused price to rise overall, especially right after it was introduced. So when GST came into effect, it applied at every level of production, from the factory all the way to the shop. Even though business could claim back the tax they paid, most of them still include that cost in the selling price. So at the end of the day, we as consumer felt like everything suddenly become more expensive. So the second point is in the point of SST. People thought SST is only charged once, but it doesn't always mean things are cheaper. So people thought SST would make things cheaper because it's only charged tax one time only. But usually when the product is sold at the consumer, but that always true. Sometimes suppliers increase their price quietly, so consumer don't know about that. So the third point is GST tend to raise the price in the short term. Means when GST was introduced, the price of many goods went up because tax was charged at every level. So for example, in the three of this point, look at restaurant. So do you guys have eaten at any restaurant?
Oh yeah,
Okay, so restaurant. Under GST, every part of the supply, like ingredients, packaging, transport, anything, was taxed. But so the final meat cost more than the real price. But with SST, only the service is taxed at 6%. So that is the affect consumer price.
Kami just talk about the GST give more money to the government. But I just think why government does not continue with GST and change it into SST?
I think I know this one. The first thing is because the public perception of the GST was negative.
Oh yeah, because I think I've heard of it, right? When
Yeah.
the GST increases the price of the goods, people didn't like it, and people caused riots and people caused disruption in the social media.
Yes, it was a mess, man. And I think the second one is the because the government see SST as a simpler for business.
Yeah, because imagine if I had a business, it was small or medium, it would obviously be more better for me to use SST rather than GST because GST wouldn't be able to let me create more goods. It would just make it more complicated with calculations and whatnot.
I also heard from a friend of mine, from his political friend, they say that the government wanted to reduce cost of the living.
Yeah, because if you think about it, the people politics of today in Malaysia, you often uses the transition of GST to SST as a way for getting their votes because obviously people like having SST, so they will gain votes and it will be more beneficial for the politics.
And I think my parents also say that it's because politically it's removing GST will gain support from some of the parties.
Yeah, because imagine that you are a person in politics and you want to gain more votes. Obviously, you would use that in order to gain more votes and explain about the transition from GST to SST.
And if I'm not mistaken, one of the last one is that transition back to GST is can cause confusion, a big confusion.
Yeah, because yeah, if you think about it, GST to SST is two different tax systems. So converting from one to another will cause a lot of instability and problems for the country.